Well, all right. Well, today I'm going to mill up this Knotty Pine. Yes, it has been misbehaving, and that's why we have all these knots in it and this inclusions. It's a good sized log, but because of just the character of the log, there's a twist in it. We won't get as much lumber, but the good thing is it's 28 inches in diameter on this end and 25 on that end. So I do plan on getting some very pretty wood out of it. Normally I would mill this up 8/4, but I'm going, which is 2 inches, but I'm actually going to mill it up at 9/4 or 2¼ inches, because when you're cutting all those knots, it can cause the saw blade to dip a little bit, and you don't get as clean a surface as you would if you were milling a really clean log. When I say clean log, meaning no knots on the outside or on the inside, because the knots, the grain pattern is different. It's a lot more dense, and it can cause a slight either tick up or tip down with a saw blade. And it's not that big, but when you go to mill it and you're trying to make a consistent thickness for, let's say, a really rustic table, you're going to lose more thickness than you would with a clean 2x material. So we're going to add an extra 1/4 inch for the customer, because I know they plan on making some tables out of it, and they wanted rustic. So that's what we're going to do with this log today, and we're going to get on the mill and get to milling up, and it's going straight in the kiln. As soon as we're finished milling this, it's going to go in the kiln with a bunch of other 2x10s and 2¼ x 10s. So fill up the kiln today and get it going for the customer to help them build some tables. Well, I decided to put on a fresh blade, mainly because although I'd only gone through 4 logs, these were 4 huge logs, and each one was at least 250 board feet. And there was another one that was about 100. I got over 1,000 board feet out of that previous saw blade, so I'm very happy with that. Actually, there was 5 logs I went through. So very happy about that. Cranking it tight to 3,000. Sorry, holding the camera and twisting that at the same time is kind of awkward. Anyways, put on a fresh blade. It was still cutting pretty good, but it was dipping slightly when it was hitting the knots, which is not unusual. for this, but I've changed up my saw blades. I have changed them up a little bit ago, thanks to a friend named Chuck at Blackjack Sawmill, but he had recommended getting the 1.5-inch saw blades because I had been milling with an 1.25-inch saw blade. So I got a slightly bigger, wider, I should say, saw blade, and it does it when they're sharp and I don't go too fast. It'll actually cut through those knots pretty well, and when it slows down, that's when I decide, okay, time to change out the saw blade, because I try to do about 8 logs a blade, but when they're huge logs, then I'm doing a lot more cuts, or potentially a lot more cuts with one log. So you can see, I don't know if you can see that ripple right there with the saw blade as it was, see it, yeah, there we go. So as it goes and hits this knot, you can see it starts to skip a little bit and then it smooths out. So when the saw blade's fresh, it'll do a little bit better job at that. I mean, it's not that big a deal. Did it again here. See, it starts to, because it slows down as it hits this. And I mean, truthfully, it's still pretty flat, but what I learned from another sawyer was that you want to keep your sawmill running good for a long time. Keep a sharp blade on it. I can sharpen these blades for $9. So as long as I can keep a sharp blade on it, maybe pause for, what would it take me, 2 minutes to swap that out? It'll help my sawmill last longer. I'll get better cuts. Obviously, I'd love to be able to saw with the same blade all day, but you know, it doesn't work like that. All right, back to sawmilling. I went to make my very last cut, the very last log I'm milling today, and the saw blade just popped off the wheels. Tension was proper because I'm constantly checking the tension, so there was a reason for it. I just wish I knew what it was, because that's the first time. I've been sawmilling for several years now. That was the first time that's ever happened. So strange, but it is what it is. I always like to know if something breaks. I like to know if I did something wrong. I like to know what I did wrong, so I won't repeat it again. But unfortunately, I don't know what happened. I think it ruined the blade too, unfortunately. So, but time to throw another saw blade on there. It is what it is. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Just what I was looking for. Just lots of figure and pattern and pine. This is gonna make a beautiful farmhouse style table, or any other furniture. This is the stack. It's going in the kiln now. You're just gonna need to add some weight to the top. Put concrete blocks on top, probably about at least 1 ton of concrete blocks, total of 2,000 pounds. And then it's gonna slide into the kiln. And yep, hopefully we'll be in there for between 16 and 18 days, and we'll have some beautiful 2x10s ready to be turned into tables or whatever.